Donnie B got to be.
What is good, everybody? It's Donnie B got the beats, and we back for season 6 of the Heralded the Beat podcast. I am so elated. I am so excited. I'm so happy that this COVID pivot turned into be something that has become a staple of who I am, and I'm excited for what's to come. I got big names coming up this season and beyond, but let's just start with who we got today. This brother right here, I'm so elated to have, but you already know what time it is. If you check out this podcast, it's time for that glorious intro, y'all. So stay tuned. So look, you guys know that I'm a rap for everything, a rap for information, a rap for just everything that's out there, this hip hop. I love it. It is a part of who I am. It's a part of who I was. It's a part of who I'm going to be. I'm going to be like 70 something years old, and I would still be on hip hop because that's just who I am. I love it that much. But this brother right here, I was introduced through DJ Flair, good friend of mine, and he had nothing but great things to say about him. I did my first of all, I had already heard Click Tha Supah LAtin, but you know that's neither here. That's another story for another day. But when he said when DJ Flair said he can get him on the podcast, I was like, man, let me really do my homework, and I was just floored. Like literally floored with everything that this brother has accomplished in his career. And I'm just so thankful to have him on and for him to be my first guest in season 6, y'all. But without further ado, we're going to go to introduce the celebrity rapper, beatboxer, music producer, Click Tha Supah LAtin. What's going on with you, brother?
What's up, man? What's up? What's going on, man? I'm just hanging, living life, man. Living life.
Hey, that's what's up. So you out in LA, right?
In LA, I'm actually in the city of Norwalk.
Awesome.
Yep.
If those that don't know, that's right outside of downtown LA, but you know, Norwalk keep it funky, man. That's
Yeah.
what
Oh
they
man,
do.
it's close enough yet far enough. You know what I mean?
Indeed, brother. So thank you again for your time, and I definitely appreciate it. And we're gonna roll straight through this thing because I know you're a busy individual. So with that being said, let's get started. First
All right.
question: Who, for those that don't know, is Click Tha Supah LAtin?
Click Tha Supah LAtin is a very different individual, and I have been since I was a kid, man. I'm a beatboxer, rapper, producer, father, husband, grandpa, b-boy. I'm all these things wrapped into one, man. And I've always been a big dreamer, and I think I still continue to be that. I mean, there's nothing that someone tells me that I can't do, um, that I want to do. Like if I really want to do something, I'm gonna accomplish it. And that's what I've been for the longest time, man. I've tried to be a dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very I'm probably the most equal person you can meet in terms of like fairness. I mean, just and I've always been that way since a kid. I just felt awkward about it because everyone's not like that. So, um, but yeah, for the most part, man, I'm just a down to earth person that just wants to give love and be loved. You know.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's like, with you in the green room before we went live, man. Just your energy is so personable. You know, you get a
Oh,
lot of
appreciate
people
that.
Yeah, you get a lot of people who Hollywood, and it's just like, I mean, we get it, we get it, but you don't have to treat people like in a Hollywood fashion.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love the fact that you're so relatable and personable, and everything about you, man. Your whole energy is amazing. It's crazy. So
Oh,
just
thank you,
wanted to
thank
share.
you, thank you.
Definitely, definitely. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to everything. I got Click the Super Latin's information down at the bottom. Make sure that y'all follow this man and support him. He got his son is doing this thing too. So make sure y'all like and support his son as well. Hopefully he get on a beat sometime in the near future.
Oh yeah.
Shameless plug. And like I said, make sure that you let him know if you got any comments or whatever. Feel free to comment in the sections and just reach out if you got any questions. But going back to you, Click. Next question is: growing up in, where did you grow up,
I
and
grew up
what
in,
was the
In Lenox, California. Lenox
Lennox?
is a small city between Inglewood and Hawthorne. Um, my family was the first generation from Peru into this country. Um, and my earliest days that I remember was living in Lenox, California. It was a gang infested area, but not too bananas. But at the same time, like I said before, man, I just been like, I'm, I've always been in my own world. Um,
Hmm.
my imagination is just, if you don't have enough time to even tell you stories, but I'm just a very imaginative kid, so I've always been behind in terms of socially. So when guys get into girls, like I was into like marbles and kung
Hmm.
fu and just I think I can do this, and I could do that jumping off my roof with umbrellas and just very imaginative. Um, and being in Lenox, it was a trip. And well, thank God that I never had any older siblings, cousins, or uncles that were gang affiliated, because if I was, then that it may have turned out different. But I
Hmm.
had nobody, so I just did my own thing. But Lenox was cool. Lenox was cool. I met some cool people there. Um, but yeah, that's the city, man. If I have to rep any city, it would be Lenox.
That's what's up. That's definitely what's up. And it's funny. Uh, some of the other icons in the hip hop game out here I've had on the show, and they very similar in the fact that like they love kung fu and things of that nature. I mean, nastiness,
Hmm.
Grammix or GMS, like, and it's crazy just to hear it's yet another pioneer icon. Love the same thing, man. Like, and I love me some kung fu too. I actually trained for a small bit of time.
Yeah,
But again, it's crazy how we're all kind of linked in, and we don't even really realize it.
yeah.
So crazy. Next question up though, want to ask for those that don't know, just what is a beatboxer?
A beatboxer is a person that does drum sounds with their mouth, and is different than a vocal percussionist, because a vocal percussionist would be more like Bobby McFerrin.
Hmm.
Bobby McFerrin makes different percussion sounds, taps on his chest, all this kind of stuff. A beatboxer tries to imitate hip hop sounds. So instead of and I have crazy respect for Bobby McFerrin, because I mean, if people don't know, he actually did a version of the Cosby Show theme song, but
Okay.
all mouth. It was
Yeah.
not any drums. And if you don't know any better, you think there was musicians, but it was just him doing the and then tapping on his thing and doing the background vocals and stuff. I mean, he's amazing. Um, a beatboxer in hip hop terms is somebody who focuses more on the replication of drum kits, well, the 808 drum machines. And so, um, my first introduction to beatboxing was through the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys came out of New York. Now, the story is that Dougie was out first, but Dougie wasn't huge at that time. The Fat Boys were. So I got to hear them first.
Hmm.
And then, of course, everybody around town at that time is trying to imitate Buffy from the Fat Boys. And it was
Yeah.
very commercial and very. I mean, he had great drum sounds, but it was definitely a little bit more on the commercial side, because at that time it was still new. Like, who knew what to do, how to do it, and to create an art form out of it. Dougie, um, because of Dougie is where I got my name Click, because
Give them a sec, ladies and gentlemen. He froze. These things happen though. Yeah, interesting information with regard to Buffy from the Fat Boys, Prince Marky D, the whole team over there. Like I said, coming in from the East Coast, having an understanding about hip hop from the East Coast, it was big. It was groundbreaking. It was definitely crazy. And yeah, Dougie Fresh is well known for it. As is the Fat Boys. Oh, here he is. He's back in now. There we go. No worries.
And ain't nothing like hardwired gear, I guess. I'm not sure if I plugged the Ethernet cable in, but maybe I don't know. But
It happens.
so I got my name Click from being able to do Dougie Fresh's clicks. So I learned those really, really good when I was growing, was coming up in the game. So people at that time called me Click Master. There's this guy named Shasha. And so nobody ever called me Click Master, so they just called me Click. But that was my introduction to beatboxing. And then after Dougie Fresh, I heard Reddy Roxy, who would beatbox for Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince. Reddy Roxy was the first dude that I heard like really do double sounds, because in beatboxing, I don't think anybody could really do more than two sounds at once, maybe three, and that's a maybe. But Reddy Roxy was the first beatboxer I heard that I could literally go like, holy crap, what's he doing? Like, because it would sound like more sounds than just one or two. And that guy had me really chasing after the possibilities of beatboxing, what you could do with beatboxing. But that's what a beatboxer is, just somebody to me who does a lot of drum sounds in a hip hop, from a hip hop perspective. It whether you rhyme on it or you don't rhyme on it, it's still about the heavy. It's about the boom bap. It's about the head nod, and that's what a beatboxer is, differently than a vocal percussionist.
Awesome, definitely. Just how hard is it to be a successful music producer? I mean, you have an extensive resume, and one is very impressive. For those that don't know, or like to think that they're music producers, these days, because there's tons of them. They go to Best Buy and get some equipment. Now they're music producers. Just how hard is it to become a successful music producer?
I think like anything is hard, because well, you know what? It depends on the kind of producer you are. If you are doing it strictly to make money, it may be quicker and easier for you because you're bendable. You know what I'm saying? Somebody may say, "Oh, I want to beat like BBD's Poison." Oh, okay. Now I have a template. Okay, I'm gonna do this and make it sound like this. Versus being an artist that truly creates something new and different. I went through a phase where I just didn't want to sound like everybody else. Thank God I came up in the golden era of hip hop, because at that point it was newly growing to the point to where everyone's looking for the dopest sample, everyone's looking for the dopest loop. You could find it in jazz or funk or R&B or reggae or classic rock or silence. You could find it anywhere. So that led me to buy records. I have almost 10,000 records in my garage right now, in all different genres. And because of hip hop, I was introduced to those genres of music. So when I make music, like my brain continuously thinks of what I heard on that Latin jazz record, on this reggae record, on this rock record. But if I wanted to become successful quickly, then I would easily try to gravitate towards those things that that the average listener would like. But they would sound poppy. It wouldn't sound new or different or creative. So I've always tried to um, if the classic hip hop drum break is that one drum break that's just I could never do a song using that drum pattern because I
Mm.
associate it with, okay, it's been done. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you could listen to a lot of songs that came from that golden era, even up to now, that will still use that loop
Yeah.
because it's because people know it, they recognize it. You know what I'm saying? So if I use it, I know that there's going to be thousands of people who do this because they just used to hearing it. But if you're that kind of producer, you may have a shot at doing some great things and making some money. But if you're a producer like I am, where I'm trying to find something new, creative, different, um, unique in terms of like, oh, that sounds like a click beat. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's so much harder because it's harder to always break something new. So if your dreams are to be a producer, you know, um, and I'll give you a quick reference. I've well, I'm from the older era of hip hop, so I've never really got into Drake, right? I never got into Drake, and then at one point I despised that style. Like I really was like, man, I'm so sick of this. And then I realized it ain't that I don't like Drake; it's just that everybody trying to be Drake. So
Right.
now not only do I have Drake, I got 100 other people
Mm.
doing Drake style beats and flows, and you know. So it just depends on how you want to go with it, man. I mean, if you're able to bend, bend forward and take one, you might be famous. You say, I just ain't that dude, man. I don't want to be that dude. I've never tried to be that guy. Or well, actually, when I tried to be successful, I really realized that I wasn't happy unless I was doing something totally new and different. You know, for a long time, I did not want to rap in Spanish because I felt like it was stereotypical.
Mm.
But then I was trying to rhyme over, you know, funky black beats. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I want to be accepted. But then when I realized, man, just make whether it come out sounding black soul or Latin soul or whatever it may come out sounding like, if you like it, just do it. And that's
Right.
kind of what I've grown to now. Barely am I accepting the fact that when people see me, they expect to hear a Latin style beat. And I think I've cracked a formula that is able to represent that better than back in the day. Because back in the day, you would do something very typical or very what's the word I want to find very stereotypical. I mean, if you know, we'll continue this. I know there's other questions coming, but um, it, going back to the question about being a producer, you can be successful if you're willing to bend, um, but you have to be in tune with the market. You got to be in tune with the market. Like you would never hear Click the Super LAtin do a new style beat of today because number one, I don't like it, and number two, I'm not living in this era, and it would sound like I'm fronting. And one of the rules of hip hop is not to front. You know, so if you have big dreams, man, just understand you gonna have to bend and do some stuff you may not like. And at the end of the day, you ain't gonna feel happy. That's just how I feel as a creator.
Makes hella sense, man. And I definitely understand. And being a music producer myself is just having an understanding of the number one word that I always use with other people that are either I'm training or working with that have questions about music production is catalog.
Mhm.
You gotta know, you gotta do your homework. If you don't know anything about what the ground that has been laid, you can't walk on anything going forward. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I definitely identify with what you said. I do want to take a quick second, an off script break because I got an express message for you from a mutual friend of ours, DJ Flair.
Okay.
He asked me to say, and I quote, "Tell him to do numbers."
That goes back to the style of beatboxing that it's beatboxing is like a magic trick. You know what I'm saying
Okay.
you think you hear what you're hearing in a huge way. So and I'll do numbers. So numbers is a song. It's like a techno hop song that came out in the '80s and whatnot. And when I realized how to do numbers, I realized that I'm only really doing at the most two sounds at the same time, but it just sounds like so much more. So
Mhm.
you have the beat of numbers, right? So numbers is right.
Mhm.
But if I slow it down real slow, it's that's all it is. But if you crunch your lips together and you drag it, it sounds like that computer that right.
Right.
So you're sneaking stuff in between the gaps, but it's happening so fast that you may go like, but it's just, So now the hardest beatbox joint to do for me that I had, it took me a while to get it, was Dougie Fresh's "The Show"
Mm.
because the shakers in that song comes from your throat. Like if you do you let me know if you can hear it or not, but the that breathing back there,
Mhm.
like if you're
Mhm.
almost like you're clearing your throat,
Right.
but to make it louder, because that sound actually comes out of your nose. It doesn't come out of your mouth. So
Mm.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That's the hardest one to do because that one you're actually doing two sounds at once because you're doing the shaker and the kick. Um, but that's just that's beatboxing. You got to figure out how to manipulate sounds to make it sound bigger than what it is.
That's awesome. That's because I can't do none of that. So that's kudos to you, and
Thank you, man.
kudos to Flair for pulling that one out. Because
Thank you, Flair.
you know that's what's up. And that numbers, what is that? Craftworks or I mean, current craft or what is it? It's Craftworks, right?
You know what? I don't know who does numbers. I can't remember who does numbers. I
I'm
mean, I'm
pretty
thinking
sure.
it's Kraftwerk.
Yeah, I think it's.
Well,
I'm
if
pretty
anybody
sure.
would know, Flair would know because he was probably spinning the record. You know.
Yeah, he tested you. You passed.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the question, and this is a peculiar one, but a very interesting question. How did you get started in the music industry?
um, I when I started beatboxing, well, actually, let's go back to just hip hop. Um, I didn't even like hip hop at the beginning. I remember I saw a TV show called That's Incredible, and the New York City Breakers were on that show, and they was busting head spins, elbow spins, all that stuff,
I think I
and I
remember
thought it
seeing
was stupid. I thought it was stupid. I literally thought it like it's just stupid. And then about 3 months later, I'm practicing backspins, and I was an okay breaker. Um, but when I heard beatboxing, man, beatboxing just had me going nuts. Like, yo. Um, so from beatboxing, I knew I couldn't do a beatbox record, so I had to learn how to rhyme. And some of my favorite rappers was like at the time was like Kumo D, especially Kumo D, and KRS One. And I tried to take what they were giving and learn how to do that. Once I got a little bit better and found my voice, the next step is to try to find an audience. So I would go do shows at parks and just wherever they would let me perform. But when it got professional, was see, I never had a look. And now anybody in the music business, they're always looking for a look.
right.
I never had the look. I may have had the talent, but I didn't have the look. Um, so going from all the things that I had learned up to that point, I started making beats. Well, I was making beats early on too, since like '84. Um, Now getting into the music industry is hard, man. Like I said, I'm a creative person. I just can't give you what you want. Like I have to give you my art, and you decide whether you like it or not.
Right.
Um, so my break came from doing a demo, and the demo wasn't even supposed to be of me. It was supposed to be a different artist. I was doing, different beats and stuff at the time, different remixes, trying to like I would take like a RBX record or a cappella, do a remix beat, and do a bunch of them and try to hit different labels and ask them, hey, check out the remix, check out the remix I did, check out the remix I did. You need any beats? That kind of thing. Hustling, hustling, hustling. So I go to Warner Brothers, and there's this lady named Allison Gabriel, and she was like, a higher up person, and I had been giving her spec remixes for a long time, and she was like, you know what? And she's a black woman, and she was like, you know what, Click? She said, I'm looking for a Latin rapper who could rap like a N word,
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, who do I know? Who do I know? I knew two other Latin rappers, but they, you know, I mean, they're the only two that I knew that was rhyming. So one guy wasn't good anymore. The other guy stopped doing it. And so my wife tells me, you do a demo. And I'm like, me? I don't even have a look.
Right.
Just do a demo. The worst I could do is say no. So I do a demo. I took it down there and I fronted like I had an artist. I played her 3 songs. And in the music business, man, when you play a demo, like if they ain't feeling it in 20 seconds or less, they fast forward to the next joint. They ain't waiting, you know.
Right.
She listened to every song from front to back, and every song she was nodding harder and harder and harder. After the third song, she was like, "You got anything else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got this instrumental. It's not, we didn't write to it yet, but check it out." So I played it. This lady jumped out her chair, bro. Like she jumped out her chair. That's it. That's the single. When's it gonna be done? And she going crazy. And that's my first time at this level because now I went from like, me as a producer. I'm making these beats. I'm trying to get in the door, and I'm okay. So you're letting me into people that I got. But now she about to sign me.
Right.
So I tell her, "Oh, we're working the song. I'll bring it back to you." And he's like, "Yeah, bring it back." Yeah. So I'm walking out the door, and I turn around because again when I tell you the kind of person that I am, like I can't front, and like something eats at me, and I have to tell the truth.
Right.
So I walk out the door, and I turn around. I'm like, "Yo, Allison," I'm like, "Listen, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but it's me." And her face went from like this to like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, just yeah, finish up the song and then we'll check it out and I'll show it to my team." And and I'm going like, if I would have had the look, oh
Right.
man, I'd been signed, and I definitely know I'd have a hit record for sure like that. But that's from that uh from that no go because she didn't sign
Mhm.
me. An independent label heard it, and then they liked it, and they were trying to get me on other labels, and then those labels were telling my label or the guy that I was signed to. They said, "Why don't you just do it?" And he was like, "Okay, I'll do it." So he put out my single, and it got spun on Power 106, and then that just took off. I became friends with Big Boy from Power 106 at that time, and that dude used to pull me on stage all the time, man. And that's how I ended up getting into the business. But it definitely is. You're chasing after some type of acceptance, an ear. Can just hear my beats, and it's not
Right.
easy, man. It's not easy, but thank God I think that my stuff was different enough to at least turn an ear. But that's how I got in, and it's being persistent. Because honestly, my beats weren't the best, and I wasn't the best MC. You know, but you tell me no, and I would knock on the next door and the next door, and I just wouldn't stop knocking until somebody would let me in.
Right.
And that's how I got into it, man. The name got around to the point to where I was just everywhere, and at that point, you really couldn't say no anymore because I'm bugging everybody, and at that, and I'm not tooting my own horn, man. But as far as beatboxing goes, in that time, like ain't nobody was touching what I was doing at that time. So I was able to get into doors that others couldn't get into because I had that gift. We opened up for KRS One when he was the A&R guy at Reprise, and we weren't even Reprise artists, and they invited us to perform. And me and my oldest son, he was 9 at the time, man, we tore that show up, and people were wondering like, who is this guy? He's not even on Reprise, but we were making that much noise that somebody had to pick up the ball and he's tested, and so that's how I got in, man, by just knocking on the door and just not giving up.
That's a triumphant story. That much is clear. I mean, having walked that walk, it's difficult, and I'm not even. I haven't even gotten in the door yet. I mean,
Oh man.
everything I've done it on my own. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's difficult. It's not for the faint of heart, man. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And even less if you have a family, because like I had kids. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I remember going to Paris with the Air Force crew, who was a breakdancing crew from LA, and I go to Paris for 11 days, and I come back, and my son didn't want to talk to me because I guess he just couldn't fathom how I could just leave. And I'm like, but
Right.
I'm trying to make it, and after that trip, I decided not to pursue my career as heavy anymore because my family was just that important to me. It's like you just can't. For me, I couldn't just because Jurassic 5 had hit me up, and they were like, "Yo, we're doing the word of mouth tour. We want you to go with us." And I was like, "Man, look, I just got back from Paris. My son's tripping. I can't go." And I remember this. There was a silence on the phone, and I was talking to Akil, and Akil was like, "All right, man, all right," and he hung up. Now Akil has kids. He went on
Mm.
tour, and the thing is, he told me, he said, "Look, man, there's no wrong decision because you did what you had to do, and you made priority of your things." He said, "I grew up with nothing. I don't want my kids to have nothing. I gotta go."
All right.
And it's there's no wrong or right to an extent, man. I mean, so I mean, I respect the brother. I mean, Jurassic 5 is legendary. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's definitely ain't easy, man. But if you really want it, just be prepared that you're gonna have to make sacrifices. My son used to tell me, "You should have just went on the word of mouth tour. I would have understood." I'm like, "You say that because you don't know."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For all I know, I could have came back from the word of mouth tour, and at 10 years old, you're slinging drugs or something. I don't know.
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I'm fine with it, man. But it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, and there's similarities to it. I actually moved to LA 8 years ago from
Okay.
DC, and I had to leave my kids with their mom on the East Coast, and I still have backlash from that. I still, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and there's still some things that they don't understand. But it's like, look, in order for me to be able to take care of the things that you need, I had to make the
Hmm.
jump. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
again, this thing isn't for the faint of heart, man. And
Oh,
I applaud you actually for taking a stance and digging a hard line in the dirt, and still becoming who you are,
yeah.
and but
Yeah.
yet being foundational with your family. That's
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's options, man. I mean, we're taught one way, especially in this country. We're
right.
taught the American dream one way. My record label told me once, he's like, "Dude, if you sell 50,000 records, we're good." I'm like, 50,000? That's it? Like, yeah, just 50,000. And I'm like, because I kept thinking, no sales or platinum.
Right.
But there's this whole middle part, man. Like really, if I was to ask you, what would be a great paying job for you, right? Like, so if you was like, "Oh, you know what, great paying for me, I'd like to at least do 60 to 100,000 a year."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? And then I
Yeah.
was talking to I was talking to a friend of mine, Dizzy Dustin from Ugly Duckling, and he was like, "Listen, if you have 1,000 fans, just 1,000, and every year they buy $100 worth of merchandise from you, that's 100,000." And I'm like, "What?" Like, but we're not taught that. We're taught mansion, yachts, land. Like, we're taught this big dream, which is great if you can get it. But
Right.
realistically, I mean, the higher up you go, man, there's just more headache, more stress. I'm at the age now, I'm 52, 53 actually. So, like, I'm in semi-retirement mode. I'm
Right.
I'm fine with a two-bedroom house by a lake and a boat. You know, I'm okay with that. So that's the thing. To have a perspective where you really realize that the business, okay, we get it, but that dream that we've been sold in this country, man, it really, if you only knew what it entails to get that, only if you can even handle that, man. First of all, if I gave you a mansion, you have to have mansion maintenance money. How many of us
Hey.
have mansion maintenance money?
Hey.
You know, I mean that's the level I'm on now. But
Nah, you called that out perfectly because you're absolutely right. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I got the Mercedes, but if that Mercedes that engine go out, uh-oh, you know what I mean? So I
yeah.
get you, I get you there. Listen, I would have because and I'm great with the conversation, but I definitely want
Yeah.
to make sure I get to your music, and I want people
Okay.
to get to experience just what the type of work and the caliber of stuff that you are have put out there in the universe, man, because it is glorious, man. So I definitely
Thank
want to start with I want to ask you this question: what are your current projects? What are you currently working on? And then we can talk about I have two singles that I wanted to present.
you.
So
Okay.
you tell me what are your current projects? What are you currently working on that people need to
So
be to know about?
so okay, the current project, which I never thought I'd ever record again, because I was, I'm not trying to be a rap star or anything like that. So I was talking to a cousin of mine, and he had asked me how old I was, and this was last year. So like
Mm,
52. I'm 52. And in Spanish, she goes, "Ah, ya estás en el quinto piso," which means, "Ah, you're on the fifth floor now." And I laughed, but then I realized, wait, that's an album title. And then I got inspired because I'm going, what could I write about being on the fifth floor? What's it like to be 50? Man, songs started pouring out of me like crazy, like not even trying songs and topics and ideas. Um, so the new project I'm working on is an album called El Quinto Piso. And basically, I'm not sure how old you are, but basically the things that I would talk about with my homies around the barbecue, you
Mhm.
know, you talk with your homies like, hey man, you ever wake up in the middle of the night and then you can't go back to sleep? Like all these things that we go through at this age is on the album. Some stuff is funny, some stuff is heartfelt. There's stories and stuff that, to round out the album, because I don't ever want to do an album where it just seems so monotonous, because there's
Right.
various ways to tell stories. The lead single off of this album is called El Quinto Piso, which is the song you're probably about to play. And that one, I'm rapping over this Mexican norteño type of beat, and that's the only beat like that on the record. But the song just seemed to fit it. But then I
Mm.
have another song. Well, the Quinto Piso song really talks about how I feel at the moment of being 50. When I used to be young and energetic and blah, blah, blah. But then I have a song called 230. And 230 represents the amount of time I would have if I got in a fight with somebody younger than me. Like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and I'm telling my DJ about this fight I got into. And it's very dramatic. It's got sound effects, and it's funny because it's my son said it perfectly to me. He said, "Dad, on this album, there's zero ego. You ain't trying to say how hard you are. You being 100% real. The embarrassing stuff or the stuff that you feel like you don't really want to, because nobody wants to be old. But I'm at the point where I'm going, man, I ain't even going to try to front like I'm young.
Right.
You see 40-year-old rappers now, and they still talking out of me and my crew, clack, clack, in your back, blah, blah, and I'm sitting there going like, you're 40. You probably had your prostate checked and you taking high blood pressure medication. Like, quit it. You're probably in bed by 8. So that was really heavily inspiring to me when I wrote this project. So the new project is called El Quinto Piso, and the song I think you're about to play is called El Quinto Piso. So, enjoy it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. We're gonna get the El Quinto Piso. So here we go.
Here we
Ready?
go.
Can someone get TMK some water? Anytime, Click. Here. Oh, great. Now I gotta go pee. Listen. Yeah. Listen. And see? Listen. Almost. Listen. Yeah. Everybody is moving. Oh, yeah. Let's go. I used to be young and energetic. When it came to sex, I had to get it. Testosterone turned up full blast. How long will it last? Harder than a cast. Something ain't right. This can't be right. Unpredictable, stiffies day and night. Uncontrollable, damn near unstoppable. But I know I can't be irresponsible. Thank God I'm married. Come here, wifey, let's play the ball. Give it to me, baby. It was all good in the hood at that age. Till I hit the fifth floor. That's when the sex changed. Oh, how I love to be young again. Full of life, ready for more. Oh, how time flies when you're having fun. Now I'm suffering on the fifth floor. Oh, quisiera estar joven, lleno de vida y listo. Como han pasado los años, ahora sufro en el quinto piso. Actually, it started slowly in my 40s. By that time, I had 3 shorties. Would have been 10, but she decided we couldn't afford how I got excited. So she got fixed, and I got fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day if we wanted to. Let me break it down, here's how I do. Super Latin time, and I came to party. I don't care if I wake up everybody. I know you thinking I'm strange, but not anymore. I'm on the 5th floor. The sex change. Oh, how I'd love to be young again. Full of life, ready for more. Oh, how time flies when you're having fun. Now I'm suffering on the 5th floor. Como quisiera estar joven, lleno de vida can get a visual of how it's done. Mr. DJ, this is all on you. Take them to the second floor, show how they do. How's that? Crazy mad all over the place. Couldn't maintain in just one space. Great to experience with eyes and ears, but the damage you're needing quite severe. Now back to the DJ, give me some more. Break it down how it's done on the third floor. Okay. Okay. The third floor. I learned so many things back on the third floor. In the gentle way that he caresses, impresses the grooves without being selfish. Goes a little differently on the fourth floor. Hey DJ, break it down once more, baby. Now the fourth floor knows all the shortcuts, cause ain't much energy for such and such. Ain't no need to be dragging this on. Main priority is to finish the song. Don't mean to rush, but if we get done soon, there's enough time for a movie and some food. Everybody on the fourth floor, ain't this true? DJ, show 'em how the fifth floor do. Okay, don't laugh. It ain't that we can't. We gotta be careful because we get them cramps. Yes, we're overweighted and dehydrated. We try to get in shape, and it's hard, we hate it. But don't you count us out, you won't regret it. If it's early and we didn't overeat, you can still get it. Get it. Get it. Oh, how I love to be young again. Full of life, ready for more. Oh, how time flies, we having fun. Now I'm suffering on the fifth floor. All of this shit I start already. Get on that diva y listo. Oh, my ahora sufro en el quinto piso.
Great song, Sonny. But wait till you get to the 8th floor. It smells like piss up here.
That is awesome. That is
Man.
awesome.
It's just so much fun making this album, man. You know, it's freeing because I'm not it's going, you know, I'm putting it out under my own label, but I'm not doing it for the money. You know what I mean? I have a stage and sound business. I'm doing great there. I have other side hustles that I buy and sell records, repair vintage gear. You know, so it's not for the money, and that's the dopest part because, you know, somebody could not like it and not buy it, and that's okay. You know, people could buy it, and that's okay too. I just felt like creating again. You know, I was inspired because, I mean, how much, you know, you look like you're from the same era as I am. So how many times can you hear a rapper talk about how dope he is? You know, yeah. I heard it from the best. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, not that I mind hearing it, but we're like in our generation, like we're past that already. We've proven ourselves. You know, we don't really have to brag anymore. I mean, you know, you brag because you want to show, and yeah, when you're young enough. When you're old enough, it's like, you know, it's like that dog that be on the front porch, and when you walk by, when he was younger, he used to bark at you all the time, but then as he got older, he just sees you walk by, and he just looks at you, and if you try to get in the gate, he gives you that light growl, like, because he knows it's all it takes. Because you know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm at. Like I don't need to prove myself anymore. Like for what? And that's what's inspiring about the album, man. Because I have everybody on my record from my family, my sister's voice. The old man at the end was my brother's voice. I got my grandkids on the record saying different phrases and different things, and I mean it's been a blessing. I'm happy.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I'm just floored because I love the storytelling. I think that that's the other the secret key to especially old school era hip hop. The stories. It's just like country music. It's the stories. You know what I mean? Yep. And you know, young folk don't get that. You know, but that's another story for another time.
You know, I wish they did though, because I think that if they did, I mean, you know what? The young folks of today are going through some different things that may be different from us coming up, but they're still stories. You know what I'm saying? But I think that their focus is so much misguided. And they could have some great music out that could grab everybody, you know. But then but everybody wants the money, and if making money is talking about drugs and killing people, then that's what it is right now, you know. Yeah. I remember when Kendrick came out, and Kendrick got his Grammy. I can't remember the name of the guy, man, but one rapper was pissed because he said now label's gonna look for that type of rapper now. And I'm like, what do you? And this is an older cat, and I'm like, what? Like, what? So you're literally rapping for money? Then that's what you're saying? Like, you could, again, going back to the whole just sell 50,000 records. Yeah, right. I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but they don't know the problems about being a millionaire. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Amen to that. So we have one more single, Contact. Let's talk about that. What's the deal with Contact? Well,
Contact, going back to my beatbox days, when I was coming up in hip hop, and this is after Paris. When I came back from Paris and my son was tripping, I decided not to go on that tour. I really focused on if they're not gonna book me and my family to roll to an event, I don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? So I really worked on incorporating my kids into my show, not the whole show, but just a section of the show, because it was dope. I mean, it wasn't corny. I never had my kids dress up the same as me. Like if my son liked the clothing he liked, that's what he wore. If my other son liked this, everybody be an individual, right? Yeah. And so Contact, when I did that song, I had become a Christian at the end of 2000, and Contact was on that album. Even though my two previous albums, because the first album I did came out in 97, the second one came out in 2000, and my oldest son, well, all my kids were on my records, but my oldest son was featured on a few songs here and there on each album. My oldest one, and that guy is, as an MC, is just bananas. But when we did Contact, the song first, we would do a routine on stage where I was beatboxing, it was rhyming, and so that's how the song came about. Now, the video you're going to play was actually a school project because I had went to Cerritos College up the street from my house to learn how to do video editing because, in this business, man, you have to have capital. You know what I'm saying? You have to have recording studio money, graphic artist money to album covers. You want a video? You need to have video production money. And I've always been known, well, to give an extension of Click Tha Supah LAtin, the reason I use that name is because I did so much. Like I was a rapper, producer, beatboxer. I'm a dad. I'm a husband, and I'm mixing my own music. I'm mastering my own music. Now I got to video edit all my own videos, and that's kind of where the name blossomed in that sense. But when I was going to Cerritos College, that was when a project to do a video, and I'm like, well, I got this song. Let me see if I can use Final Cut Pro, and I just started filming clips and trying to make a video out of it. And this is the end result, man. And so, which I'm super glad I did, because I can tell you all day that my kids performed with me. I can tell you, but if I have nothing to show you, to you, you're just going to be like, oh, well, he says the kids rhyme with him. He says this, but this documents, in a sense, I want to say the first family hip hop joint where they're rhyming over my beatbox. I mean, you'll judge for yourself when you see it. This is Contact.
Indeed. So, like you said, this is Click 88.
Click 88. During my Christian rap days, it was Click 88.
AKA Click Tha Supah LAtin.
The Super
and
Latin.
This is Contact, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Contact.
Yeah. Come on.
Contact.
Yeah. Come on.
Contact.
Yeah. Come on.
Contact.
Yeah. Come on. Watch and learn. Suckers get burned while hip hop has returned. Ain't nothing changed. Respect, you gotta earn this. It's something real MCs used to be concerned with. Let's take it back to all the hallways and gym lockers, to all the street corner MCs and beatboxers. Let's take it back for all the hip hoppers.
I be the kid with the golden tongue. Lyrically, I leave the crowd sprung and suckers outdone. I got skills that will outlive my great grandson. All this plus I'm handsome. You need skills here, have some. I got enough to feed a whole village and some. We having fun, just relax, son. Come on, watch me drop the lane, draw the contact, drop the bucket, and run.
You what you got to have on the mic. What separates the men from the boys? What makes the crowd wanna get up? You what you got to have on the mic. What separates the men from the boys? What makes the crowd wanna get up? Yo, I smack an MC real quick. Now wait. I jack an MC real quick. Now wait. I pray for an MC right quick. I realize I got something that he ain't found yet. That's why I got to rep Christ every chance that I get. And watch what come out the mouth every time that I spit.
We come with live shows and with the right flows. No gimmicks, just tight lyrics from the mic pros. Avoid the samples and bad examples. Bad company will corrupt the man's soul. My goal is to show what crowd control is, sound control is, rhyme control is. You ain't stopping what hip hop culture is.
It's like a man that beatboxes and raps with his kids, right? You what you got to have on the mic. What separates the men from the boys? What makes the crowd wanna get up? You what you got to have on the mic. What separates the men from the boys? What makes the crowd wanna get up?
Hey, break it down. That's up, y'all. Now. Come on now. Check this out. My name is JoJo, that Christian MC with the God-given flow. So why you won't step and act like you don't know? Every time I hit the stage, I steal the show. I'm 14 years old with mic control. I'm dangerous, I'm ripping MC and still remain likable. Been down since 93, don't mess with me. I don't care if other MCs want anything less of me. I roll a price, I'll let y'all know publicly. You jump on stage, you wanna be like, totally. Super hardcore, but when you get home, mama has you doing chores. I keep it live when I rock on tours. I keep away from fake bombs like yours. I try to attack the whack and bring it back while hip hop lacks lyrical contact. G.
Crazy. Yo, that is so dope.
It's funny, man. It's JoJo, the one that rapped last. Like he's about to be 30 years old in January, man. So to see the video is kind of cool, you know. It's dope.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, hey, you did your thing with that joint. That joint fit right in the pocket, right where it needed to be as far as the video is concerned, as far as the beatboxing, the flows. It's just it's refreshing because it's not, like you said, it's not overproduced. It's organic. It's raw. Yep. You know.
Yep. We used to rock that stuff live, and live it's just, you know, when you see kids on stage. I mean, and again, my oldest son, which was the first guy to rhyme, I mean, he's, you know, 33, but he's been on stage with me since he was 2. So, you know, if you can imagine seeing my kid at 2 years old on stage, and then you see him at 8, and then at 9, and then, you know, I mean, we went to England and opened up for Craig for Molly Mall and Craig G. And that was going to be it's supposed to be a Jurassic 5 show. They couldn't do it. Akil had referred me, and then the guy booked me to open up for Molly Mall and Craig G. And I mean, that in itself, I mean, he's around legends. It's just, you know, I had a blast, man. When we were doing our thing, it was just an unforgettable time. You know, we've been to New York for the Rock Steady crew anniversary. JoJo, who was the last rapper when he was 5 or 6, he was into breakdancing. And they actually invited him into the main circle where like the legendary breakdancers would show off. And they had a segment where they would let little kids perform. And he got picked out of the crowd because he would jump in a circle here. But he was only 6. He only had so many moves. But somebody was like, yo, you mind we put your shorty in there? I go, no, go ahead. And I got videos, and just so to see it all and the stuff that they've been around during their time, it's just awesome, man. I really can't complain, man. I really can't.
That's a way to keep the culture alive, man, through your children, man. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's a blessing, man. It truly is. So we are approaching time. Definitely,
Yeah.
like I said, want to be respectful of your time. So I had to edit a lot of the other questions out, but I want to kind of burn through maybe two or three last questions,
Okay.
uh, and then we'll, you know, end the show. But what is one big myth about the music industry that you found that you like to share with everybody out there?
Um, you know what? There's a saying, and I've heard many people say it before, uh, that if you become famous, I mean, because there's layers to it, man. So you can be signed, be a major artist, and thinking you're gonna make money, but the label makes most of that money.
Right.
You get very little part of that. They always say you're gonna make your money from shows, and that's, I mean, when you do a show, you got to pay your road manager, your sound guy. I mean, there's just so you're not gonna get it like that. You gotta be like in so high demand to where you're finally getting some real good money. And then also, man, when you see artists that are famous, you see the limelight part. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Cardi B at all. Like I cannot stand her music. But you know what? She can't be that famous and not work.
Right.
There's no way. There's no possible way. There's rehearsals before the main show. If you're gonna be on a Grammy Award show, you don't just show up and go to the green room and eat something and then go jump on stage. There's rehearsals. Like there's like a day of rehearsals. So like you it's not easy, and it definitely ain't for everybody, man. If I told my wife, if for some reason I get a hit out of this new project, I said we really got to talk about how we're gonna do this because you know, I'm in my room by 5 p.m. I have my shots of tequila. I'm watching TV. I ain't trying to go out, So
Right.
we have to discuss if we're gonna go on tour. Are we not gonna go? Do we just let it roll and just whatever happens happens? Man. That's the biggest myth. Don't. It's not easy, man. It look easy. It look all easy when people are up there performing and the crowd's cheering, but man, it ain't easy. Don't think it ain't a walk in the park, bro.
It's where I'm from is there's a huge saying, all the glitters ain't gold, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's right in the same kind of mythos that you talked
Yep.
about. So
Yep.
definitely understand that one. Uh, Next question is really quick. What are your thoughts on the entertainment industry today in adverse to the entertainment industry when you first got in it? Like, being that you are a legend in the game, you've been around, you've seen damn near it all. You know what I mean? What are some thoughts on today's entertainment industry that could prepare young people, or just maybe just some things that you wanted to call out about the differences between the old industry and the new industry?
Well, you know what? I honestly don't think there is a difference. It's the same industry, man. It's about money. It's about money, and you know, there's a lot of stories that float around about Suge Knight. Some ain't true, some are very true. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? And this it's all about money, man. It's all about money. You know you're gonna get your heart broken if you think it's about anything else but that. Now, fortunately, we came up in an era where hip hop was new. You know,
right,
so hip hop was still discovering what it was. Talent wise, and so everything was okay at that point. You had Kid and Play, you had Public Enemy, you had
right,
NWA, you had MC Light. It wasn't like it is today. Today you have the same artists all across the board, man. And but it's all about money. Back then we had an edge only because it was new. Because if hip hop wasn't new at that point, you'd have had a million Public Enemies.
right.
Based upon hip hop already being established, but it really wasn't established, man. So it's the same business. People shouldn't get it twisted. If you go in there thinking that you're gonna change something, you have to start with your own company. But it ain't that easy. It's not that easy, man. You gotta. What do you have that's different? You can't start a company now and have another. And I'm only saying this group's name because I'm not hip to the new cats. But like you can't come out there going, I'm gonna sign 10 Migoses,
Right.
or 10 Cardi B's. Like it honestly the business has not changed. Now the positive side would be mainly that if you want to put out music, we have social media platforms, so now you're not really totally reliant on a label.
Right.
um but then you're still in a crowded line. Look, this project that I'm doing is no one's done this project. The theme of my project, no one's done, right? So I have to catch the ear of somebody who's gonna go, oh, this is different, and put it on.
Right.
But I still have to, try to squeeze to the front of the line because there's just so many people who want to rap,
Right.
who think they're rappers and put out music and, you know, but the business side hasn't changed, man. It's all about money, and it's sad.
Sad but true.
Yeah, 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 man.
So last two questions. First question is any advice for young aspiring talent, young entrepreneurs, young Click Tha Supah LATins in training, beatboxers, just anybody that is aspiring to achieve the level of success and iconic status that you have achieved.
You know what? I didn't set out to be like a star. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was in my eyesight because that's what you're taught. But you know, before I was able to separate myself from the rappers that were out at the time,
Mhm.
I remember being heavily influenced by Public Enemy. I did a few songs, I performed them, and then I got asked a political question from there was like this news team that came out to interview us and stuff. I mean, I've been around for minutes. So I've been around during the K-Day Performing Arts days and just so we were doing these shows and this media company came out and was asking political questions, and I remember I answered it, but it was one of the dumbest answers I think I ever given, and I felt embarrassed. And I go home and I started reflecting, like, man, what if I blow up under this persona and they ask me a political question on a higher platform? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna sound stupid.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? Hold on. Who is Click? And I remember telling myself, well, I love music, I love my wife, I love my kids, I love hip hop. I'm gonna leave it at that. And ever since that point, I never did any song that was political unless it was something that I knew about fully. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So my conviction. So um, my thing would just be keep it real. Be yourself, man. If if you love drinking Kool-Aid and picking flowers and that's just you, just man, listen, somebody out there also like Kool-Aid and picking flowers. Just be you, be creative, make the music you like, and be done with it. And that's you're gonna be happiest that way, because you're gonna be you. Just be you. And that's probably the best advice I can give anybody, man.
Indeed. Indeed. Words to live by. I definitely agree. And finally, the most important question of all questions that I've asked today is how can people learn more about you? Do you have any social media, any websites, anything that you want to send out to those that are watching now or those that will be watching in the future? Just how can they reach out and get in contact with you, brother?
On Facebook, I'm under Anthony Click Rivera. On Instagram, I'm under Click Tha Supah LATin. But I also have a stage and sound company. And I'm glad you brought that up too, though, in terms of like where they could find me, because I remember even in my hip hop days, my wife used to tell me, well, now she would say, hey, I remember back in the day, you used to always want to go see the audio engineer and see what kind of gear he was using. And when I started my company, which we had now 14 years, I mean, we're making some very good money with my sound and stage company. So on Facebook, I'm under Click Sound Stage. And that's the name of the website as well, Click Sound Stage. So you can follow me on all those platforms. And I think that anybody involved with music, if you want to be an artist, that's great, but don't knock being the producer or an engineer or a masterer or even graphic arts. I mean, there's a need for all that stuff, man. And now I find myself doing, shows and mixing for classic rock bands, jazz bands, funk bands, R&B bands, and it's another branch from being in the music industry. We all have different talents, man. Don't be ashamed to try anything else that you love,
Indeed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Click Tha Supah LATin, aka Click 88. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow him on all social media. Patronize this brother, man. Him and his family I have put on for the city. They put on for the culture. Make sure you return that same respect that he's given everybody. Listen, brother, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I'm enamored with your presence and all of the work that you put out.
Thank you, man.
I'm not just saying that. I'm dead serious because I don't have no reason to lie to you, brother. I'm telling you.
No doubt.
It's amazing what you've done for the culture, and I'm a fan. And
thank you.
So at any point in time you need anything from me, feel free to reach out. If you got like maybe another 5 to 10 minutes, just hang on after this is over with, and so we can exchange info, and then we can
no
peace
doubt.
out. All right. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is episode 1 of season 6. I'm so excited and blessed to still be in this position to be able to present and bring people and personalities such as Click Tha Supah LAtin to you. Next week we have the godfather of hip hop in LA, Lonzo Williams. He's going to be on this Thursday. Yeah. So, got to Click Tha Supah LAtin. How do you follow Click Tha Supah LAtin? You got to have Alonzo Williams. You know what I mean? But either way, it is what it is. These are foundational pieces to the culture that I'm trying to provide, and so they could tell their story their way, in the way it needs to be told, which is real. And I'm blessed and honored. Make sure you like and subscribe again. Click Tha Supah LAtin. Make sure you click and like and subscribe. The Beat. I'm Donnie B. Got the Beat. I'm live on the Beat. Check me out this Thursday coming up. And without further ado, I'm just gonna say our deuces and good night, ladies and gentlemen. We out.
Donnie B.